Hello everyone, welcome to Soul Payback. It's amazing to see you here. Before we dive into today's story, subscribe to the channel, hit bell icon, and like the story. Let's dive into today's story.
My name is Maya Hartwell, and I am 28 years old. The worst act of betrayal I have ever experienced happened on a Tuesday afternoon in October. My grandfather and I had just returned from a 3-week journey across Europe. It was his lifelong dream. When our ride pulled up to his house in Portland's Cedar Heights district, something felt off. My key would not turn. The lock had been replaced. My stepfather answered Grandpa's call with 5 words that still send a chill through me. "We sold the house, Dad." They had no idea that Grandpa had anticipated exactly this moment. They had no idea what was written inside the trust document they never once bothered to read. They had no idea that attorney Marcus Caldwell had been waiting for that phone call for 2 full years. That Tuesday afternoon was the moment everything turned upside down, and my stepfather discovered that greed carries a price he was not prepared to pay. If you have ever watched someone you love be betrayed by their own family, stay with me because what happened next changed absolutely everything. It was 2 in the afternoon when our rideshare pulled up to the house. Grandpa was exhausted. I was exhausted. We had just spent 12 hours in the air flying back from Paris, and all I wanted was to fall into my bed. But when I pulled out my key, it would not fit. The lock was brand new, a shiny chrome deadbolt gleaming in the October sun. The old brass lock that had been there for 15 years was gone. "Maya, try your key again," Grandpa said quietly. I tried again. Nothing. "Did you change the lock, Grandpa?" I asked. He looked at me. His steady blue eyes, the same eyes my mother had inherited, were calm. "No," he said. "I did not." Our neighbor, Mrs. Park, walked past on the sidewalk. She had lived next door for 10 years. She saw us standing there with our luggage. She looked away and kept walking. That was when I knew something was deeply wrong. Grandpa pulled out his phone. His left hand trembled slightly, not from the minor stroke he had suffered 2 years earlier, but from something else entirely. Perhaps anger, perhaps the quiet satisfaction of a man who had been proven right. He dialed and put it on speaker. The phone rang 3 times before my stepfather picked up. "Dad?" Marcus's voice came through, casual and unbothered. "You are back already." Grandpa said, his voice perfectly composed. "Why does my key not work?" A pause. "Dad, calm down. We sold the house." The words hit me like a blow. "You sold my house?" asked Grandpa. "It's for your own good. You're 76. You had a stroke. You cannot manage a property this size anymore." "I see," Grandpa said, his voice unchanged. "And where exactly did you expect Maya and me to live?" "There are excellent assisted living communities nearby." Grandpa ended the call. He stood on the sidewalk for a moment. 14 missed calls lit up his phone screen, all from numbers he did not recognize. He had ignored them while we were in France. Now I understood why they had been calling. Then he did something I will never forget. He smiled. Not a sad smile, not a bitter smile. It was a cold, knowing smile I had never seen on his face before. He walked to the porch steps, the old Victorian wooden steps where the third plank had a worn spot for 40 years of him sitting there, and he sat down. His blue suitcase still had the airline tag attached. My bag sat on the sidewalk. We looked like people with nowhere to go. "Grandpa," I said, my voice shaking, "what do we do? Should I call the police?" He looked at me. "No," he said. "Call attorney Marcus Caldwell. His number is in my phone under MC Emergency. Tell him code Phoenix." "Code Phoenix? What does that mean?" His smile widened. "It means your stepfather just made the biggest mistake of his life." My hands were unsteady as I scrolled through Grandpa's contacts. MC Emergency. I dialed. The phone rang twice. "Maya?" Attorney Caldwell's voice was sharp and alert, as though he had been expecting this call. "Yes, Grandpa told me to call. He said code Phoenix." Grandpa called out from where he sat. A brief pause, then, "I've been waiting for this call for 2 years. Do not move. I will be there in 20 minutes. Attorney Caldwell, what? "Listen carefully," he said, all business now. "Do not speak with your stepfather. Do not step onto the property. Do not speak with anyone who comes to the door. Edmund, are you there?" "I am here, Marcus." "Good. I'm bringing the envelope." The call ended. I looked at Grandpa. "What envelope?" He did not answer. He simply sat on the steps with his hands folded in his lap, waiting. 18 minutes later, a silver sedan pulled up. Attorney Marcus Caldwell stepped out, 60 years old, gray-haired, dressed sharply. He was carrying a leather briefcase. When he saw Grandpa and me sitting on those porch steps, locked out of our own home, his expression hardened. "Let's get to work," he said. Before I tell you what was in that envelope, you need to understand how we arrived at this moment. You need to understand what my stepfather took from us and why Grandpa had been quietly prepared for exactly this for 2 years. It all started with my mother. Eleanor Hartwell passed away on January 15th, 2020, ovarian cancer. She was 52 years old. I was at the hospital the night she died. It was just after 3 in the morning when the nurse came in to confirm what we already knew. Grandpa held her hand until the very end. My stepfather was not there. He had gone home 4 hours earlier, saying he needed to clear his head and that he would be back in the morning. He was not. Grandpa and I handled the funeral arrangements ourselves. That was the first fracture. 3 years later, in March of 2023, Grandpa had a stroke, a minor one affecting the left hemisphere. He was in his garden when it happened, 74 years old, planting tomatoes, when suddenly his left hand wouldn't grip the trowel. I was working a shift at the hospital when they called me. By the time I reached the emergency room, my stepfather was already there. Marcus Calloway, my mother's husband and technically my stepfather, though I'd never called him that, he'd driven 3 hours from his city. "How did you know?" I asked. "The hospital called me," he said. "I'm listed as next of kin." He was not, but I didn't argue. The doctor told us Grandpa would recover well. He would need physical therapy and his left hand would shake for a time, but the outlook was good. Marcus nodded, took notes, and asked questions about cognitive function and legal capacity. At the time, I thought he was being thorough. Now I understand what he was really doing. Later, sitting at Grandpa's bedside, Marcus slid a document across the hospital tray table. "Dad, we need to talk about what happens if something like this occurs again. What if next time you cannot make decisions for yourself?" "I trust Maya," Grandpa said. "I am sure you do, but she is a nurse. She does not understand legal matters. I am your son-in-law. I handled Eleanor's affairs. Let me handle yours." The document was a power of attorney. "Just for 12 months, Marcus said, "unless you renew it, just as a precaution." Grandpa signed it. His hand trembled. The signature slanted left. I watched it happen and said nothing. What could I have said? He was my stepfather. Grandpa was vulnerable. The signature was witnessed on March 22nd, 2023. I did not know it at the time, but that power of attorney contained an expiration clause buried in the fine print, valid for 12 months, unless renewed in writing. Marcus knew. He was counting on Grandpa not to remember. But Grandpa did recover. By June, his neurologist had documented full cognitive capacity. His cognitive assessment score was 28 out of 30, which is normal for his age. The tremor in his left hand faded from a 4 out of 10 to barely noticeable. He was back to gardening by July and driving again by August. In September, I made a decision. I left my job at the hospital and moved into Grandpa's second bedroom, not because he needed me, but because he was alone, and so was I. After losing my mother, we only had each other. I paid $800 a month in rent, below market value. Grandpa insisted on that. Marcus called me 3 days after I moved in. "This is not appropriate, Maya. You are a grown woman living off an elderly man. I am helping my grandfather recover. You are positioning yourself for the inheritance. We can see exactly what you are doing." His wife, Diane, his second wife, whom he had married 2 years after my mother passed, was on the call too. "You are only after his money," she said. I hung up. November 8th, 2023. Grandpa disappeared for 3 hours. No note, no message. I called his phone 6 times. No answer. When he came home, he was carrying a sealed manila envelope. "Where were you?" I asked. "I was worried about you." "Just taking care of some paperwork, sweetheart. Nothing for you to concern yourself with." "Are you sure everything is all right?" I feel better than I have in years. He went to his bedroom, opened his safe, entered the combination, which was my mother's birthday, and placed the envelope inside. I did not ask what was in it. I should have. For the next 2 years, life was peaceful. I took a part-time position back at the hospital, 3 shifts a week, enough to pay rent and save a little. Grandpa and I settled into a comfortable routine. Sunday mornings, we would walk to the French bakery on the corner for croissants and coffee. He would tell me stories about my mother when she was young. Tuesday evenings, we would watch quiz shows together. He never missed a history question. Fridays, I would cook dinner, usually pasta. He loved my carbonara. Marcus called once a month, always the same questions. When are you updating your will? Have you thought about long-term care? What is your estate worth these days? Grandpa would answer in single syllables and hang up. Every time after he did that, he would look at me with that small, quiet smile, as if he knew something I did not. In May of 2025, Grandpa told me he wanted to go to France. He said, "I'm 76. Your mother and I always talked about visiting the village where our family name came from. We never did. I want to go before I no longer can." "Then let us go," I said. We planned it for September, 3 weeks. Paris, Bordeaux, the countryside. We booked the flights in June. Grandpa told Marcus we would be away. 3 weeks, Marcus said. "Dad, that is a long time. What if something happens?" "Then it happens," Grandpa said. "I'm going." We left on September 29th. The trip was everything he had hoped for. We found the old church in the village where his grandparents had been baptized. We stood in the cemetery and found their names carved into the stone. We ate cheese in Bordeaux and drank wine older than I was. Grandpa wept twice, once at the church, once on the platform as we prepared to take the train back to Paris for our flight home. "Your mother should have been here," he said. "She is," I told him. We landed in Portland on October 20th, 2025, and when our rideshare pulled up to the house, my key did not fit. Attorney Caldwell did not waste time. We sat in his car, me in the passenger seat, Grandpa in the back, and he opened his briefcase. Inside was a red envelope sealed with wax, embossed with 2 initials. "2 years ago," he said, looking at me, "your grandfather came to my office. He told me that if anyone ever attempted to sell this house without your knowledge, Maya, I was to give you this." He broke the seal. Inside were 3 items: a 47-page trust document, a 12-page letter of instruction, and a small storage drive. "He knew," I whispered. "2 years ago," Grandpa said from the back seat. "I did not know for certain. I suspected. After the power of attorney incident, I understood that Marcus saw me as a financial asset, not as a father figure, so I prepared accordingly." Attorney Caldwell handed me the trust document. The Hartwell Family Revocable Living Trust, created November 11th, 2023. Turn to page 8. I flipped to it. "All real property, including but not limited to the home at this address, is hereby transferred to the trust effective November 10th, 2023. My hands began to tremble. The house was transferred into the trust 2 years ago? Correct. Which means that when Marcus sold it last week, he was selling property he did not own because Edmund no longer owned it personally. The trust did. But the sale went through. How? His expression was measured. Because he forged Edmund's signature on a power of attorney renewal document. The title company did not verify it. The buyer did not ask questions. And in doing so, all parties involved participated in fraud. He pulled out another document, the original power of attorney dated March 22nd, 2023, and a second one dated March 20th, 2024. "Look at the signatures," he said, placing them side by side. The first is shaky, slanting left, Edmund's hand still unsteady from the stroke. The second is smooth, centered, perfectly controlled. "Your tremor did not fully resolve until June of 2023, he said to Grandpa. "That is correct. So, a signature in March of 2024, 2 days before the original document expired, should not look like this." He slid a third document across, a forensic handwriting analysis, dated October 15th, 2025, 4 days before we came home from France. "This report I commissioned," Attorney Caldwell said. "The signature on the renewal is a forgery. A qualified expert will testify to that in court." I looked at Grandpa.
You knew he would try something. I knew he would try something eventually, Grandpa said quietly. I simply did not know when. Why did you not tell me? Because I needed you to be innocent. I needed your reaction to be genuine. If you had known about the trust, you might have let something slip. Marcus had to believe he had won. Attorney Caldwell picked up the storage drive. "There is more," he said. He connected it to his laptop. 18 audio files appeared on screen. "This state requires consent from all parties before recording a conversation," he explained. At the start of each of these calls, Edmund asked Marcus for permission to record. Marcus agreed every time. He clicked on the first file. Grandpa's voice. "Marcus, I am recording this for my records. Is that acceptable?" Marcus is, distracted. "Whatever, Dad." Then, Marcus, "When are you going to update your will? You are not getting any younger." Grandpa, "I have already taken care of everything." Marcus, "With that nurse around, you are going to leave everything to Maya." Grandpa, "I said I have taken care of it. That is all you need to know." A long pause. Then Marcus's voice, low and cold. "Fine, but do not say I didn't warn you when she drains your accounts." The file ended. Attorney Caldwell clicked on another. August 3rd, 2025. Marcus's voice, speaking to someone else in the background. "Diane, once the old man is gone, we will have at least 2 million. The house alone is worth over 1 million. Diane's voice. "What about Maya?" Marcus. "She is not blood. She gets nothing." I felt as though the air had been knocked out of me. "How many of these are there?" I whispered. 18, Attorney Caldwell said. 6 hours and 23 minutes total, all time-stamped, all admissible. He closed the laptop. "Here's what we are going to do," he said. "First, I file a motion to void the sale on the grounds of fraud. Second, we submit the forensic report to the district attorney. Third," he looked at Grandpa, "we invoke Article 7. "What is Article 7? I asked. Grandpa's voice was quiet. "The betrayal clause." Turn to page 31 of the trust. Article 7. Automatic disqualification for misconduct. If any named beneficiary attempts to defraud the trust or its creator, they are permanently removed from succession and barred from any inheritance. "Was Marcus a beneficiary?" I asked. "He was," Grandpa said. 50%. You were the other 50. "And now?" "If the clause is activated, he receives nothing. You receive 85%. He paused. "And there is one more person who receives 15. I stared at him. "Who?" "Your sister." I did not know I had a sister, or so I had believed. "Serena," Grandpa said. "Marcus's younger daughter from his first marriage, your half-sister. She is 25 now. I added her to the trust in November of 2023. "Why?" "Because she is not her father. She is young and afraid of him, but she is not him. I hoped that one day she would see through him, and when she did, I wanted her to know she had somewhere safe to land." "Does she know about the sale?" I asked. "I do not know," Grandpa said, "but we are about to find out." Attorney Caldwell started the engine. "Where are we going?" I asked. "To the title and escrow office," he said. "We need the paper trail. And then we're going to meet the person who purchased your house." "Who is it?" "Her name is Patricia Holloway, and trust me, she is not going to like what we have to tell her." The escrow office was on the 10th floor of a glass building downtown. The escrow officer, a woman named Sandra, went pale when Attorney Caldwell introduced himself. "I need the file for this property, the sale that closed on October 5th. "We followed standard procedure," Sandra said quickly. The power of attorney appeared legitimate. "Did you verify the grantor's signature against prior documents?" The seller's attorney provided an affidavit. "Did you independently verify it?" Silence. Attorney Caldwell leaned forward. I am not here to end your career, but I need that file right now. She printed it. Inside was a photocopy of the power of attorney, the attorney's affidavit dated October 1st, and notes on the margin. Rush close requested. 14 days from offer to close. Unusually fast for a property of this value. Who requested the expedited closing? Sandra whispered. The seller, Mr. Calloway. And that did not raise any concerns? He said the buyer wanted to move quickly. It happens. Attorney Caldwell closed the file. Not anymore, he said. We met Patricia Holloway at a coffee shop downtown, a table by the window. She was 58, composed, wearing a tailored blazer and reading glasses on a chain. When Attorney Caldwell slid the trust document across the table, she did not speak. She read for 8 full minutes. Then she looked up. I purchased that house in good faith. I have been a developer in Portland for 30 years. I do not engage in questionable dealings. We are not accusing you, Miss Holloway. We are informing you that the sale was fraudulent. The property was held in a trust. The seller had no legal authority to sell it. Patricia leaned back. Show me the rest. Attorney Caldwell handed her the forensic report. She read it carefully. Then she set it down and looked at me. You are the granddaughter? Yes. We came home from France and found the locks had been changed. Her jaw tightened. My father lost his property to a dishonest man decades ago. Forged documents, false signatures. It destroyed him. He passed away believing he had failed our family. She pushed the documents back across the table. I do not care how favorable the terms were. I will not be associated with fraud. If this home was taken from you dishonestly, I am withdrawing. You would walk away from a purchase of this size? I asked. Without hesitation. My reputation in this city is not for sale. I will not allow someone's dishonesty to become my problem. She reached for her phone. What are you doing? Attorney Caldwell asked. Calling my attorney. I am rescinding the purchase. And then I'm going to make sure every developer in this city knows that Marcus Calloway cannot be trusted. Attorney Caldwell made one more call that day, to the attorney who had handled the sale. You can start by explaining why you certified an affidavit for a forged power of attorney. Silence. I didn't know it was forged. Marcus has been my client for 15 years. I trusted him. You trusted the wrong person. Now you are named in a fraud case. What are you going to do about it? The voice on the other end got quiet. What do you want? I want you to tell the truth in a deposition under oath.
If you do not, the state bar is going to have serious questions about your license. I will speak with my insurance carrier. You do that. Attorney Caldwell ended the call. He looked at Grandpa and me. He will cooperate. He is not going to destroy his career to protect Marcus. What happens now? I asked. Now, Attorney Caldwell said, we go to work. The meeting was set for November 1st, conference room on the 10th floor of a downtown office building with a view of the river, 2 in the afternoon. Present were Edmund, myself, Attorney Caldwell, and on the other side, Marcus, Diane, and the opposing attorney. Marcus walked in looking confident. He was wearing an expensive watch. Diane was carrying a designer handbag, new, which I had seen her post about on social media 3 weeks earlier while we were still in France. Marcus sat down across from us. What is this about? He said. The sale closed 2 weeks ago. That, said the opposing attorney, looking uncomfortable, is exactly the problem. The sale should not have closed. Please sit down. Marcus looked at me, then at Grandpa, then at Attorney Caldwell. What is this, an ambush? Grandpa's voice was calm. No, Marcus, it is a reckoning. The property was placed into a revocable living trust on November 10th, 2023, Attorney Caldwell said. You sold property you did not own. Marcus's face reddened. That is nonsense. I had power of attorney. You had an expired power of attorney, Attorney Caldwell said, and this, he slid the forensic report forward, proves you forged the renewal. I forged nothing. Attorney Caldwell opened his laptop. Then let us hear you speak for yourself.
He pressed play. Marcus's voice filled the room. Once the old man is gone, we will have at least 2 million. Diane's voice. What about Maya? Marcus. She is not blood. She gets nothing. Diane stood up. I need a moment, she said, but she did not move. She simply stood there, staring at Marcus. Sit down, Marcus said. You told me he had agreed, Diane whispered. You said it was his idea. I said sit down. She did not. Marcus turned to Grandpa, pointing at me. This is her doing. She turned you against me. Grandpa did not raise his voice. He did not need to. No one turned me against you, Marcus. I watched you. For 2 years, I watched you circle like someone waiting for something to fall. You told yourself you were protecting me, but what were you protecting me from? My own granddaughter who gave up her career to care for me? Or perhaps from yourself and the significant debt you are carrying? Marcus went white. How did you? Attorney Caldwell slid another document across the table, a financial summary. As trustee, I have the authority to investigate financial threats to the trust. You are carrying substantial credit card debt, a personal loan, vehicle financing, and your household expenses significantly exceed your income. Diane, he said more gently, your husband has not been honest with you about your financial situation. She sat down slowly. Jeremy, she whispered, using Marcus's middle name as she sometimes did. You told me we were fine. Be quiet, Diane. Attorney Caldwell closed the laptop. Here are your options, Marcus. Option 1, you return the full sale proceeds, sign an affidavit acknowledging the power of attorney was invalid, withdraw any claim on Edmund's estate, and we do not pursue criminal charges. I have already spent a significant portion of that money. Then option 2, I file fraud charges tomorrow. The district attorney already has the forensic report. You will face prison time and still lose any claim to the estate. The opposing attorney cleared his throat quietly. Marcus, he said, take option 1. Stay out of this. Marcus, Diane said, her voice strained, please think about the children. I had not realized there were children, 2 of them, apparently, a boy and a girl, 11 and 8. We will manage. How? Diane's voice broke. We have already spent the majority of it, the down payment on the new house, the cars. How are we going to return that amount when we only have a fraction left? The room was silent. Even Marcus had no answer. Attorney Caldwell stood. You have 72 hours to decide. After that, I file. He picked up his briefcase. Grandpa rose. So did I. We walked toward the door. Behind us, I could hear Diane crying and Marcus silent. We were in the hallway when Diane came out alone. Mr. Hartwell, she said. I told him not to do it. We were struggling financially, and I did not know he had forged your signature. Grandpa looked at her. But you did know he was selling my home without my knowledge or consent. He told me you had agreed, that the property was too much for you to manage on your own. Her eyes were filled with tears. I am so sorry. I am truly sorry. I looked at her. Sorry does not give us our home back. She nodded and walked back into the conference room. Attorney Caldwell filed the motion to void the sale the following morning, an emergency motion for declaratory relief, 47 pages with 200 pages of supporting exhibits. We served Marcus on November 3rd. He had until November 10th to respond. Marcus hired a new attorney, a partner known for aggressive litigation. Her response arrived on November 9th, 1 day before the deadline. She argued that Edmund had lacked legal capacity to create the trust, that I had manipulated him, that the trust should be invalidated, and she demanded a psychiatric evaluation. The hearing was set for November 15th, Circuit Court, Courtroom 5B. The Honorable Judge Patricia Mercer presiding. Judge Mercer was 55, a former prosecutor who did not tolerate nonsense. The courtroom was full, mostly attorneys curious about the case. In the gallery, I spotted Patricia Holloway. She had filed a legal document supporting our side. Grandpa wore his navy suit, the same one he had worn to my mother's funeral. I wore my nursing scrubs. I had come directly from a shift. Attorney Caldwell had suggested it. Optics, he had said. You are a working nurse who gave up her career to care for your grandfather. Let that speak for itself. The hearing began at 10 a.m. in the morning. Attorney Caldwell presented first. He laid out the full timeline. The trust, November 8th, 2023. The power of attorney expired March 22nd, 2024. The forged renewal dated March 20th, 2024. The sale closed October 5th, 2025. Your Honor, Attorney Caldwell said, this is not a case about capacity. It's a case about greed. The defendant used an expired and forged document to sell property he did not own and is now attempting to invalidate a legally sound trust to conceal his actions. The opposing counsel stood. Your Honor, my client acted in good faith. He believed his father-in-law lacked legal capacity to manage his affairs. The trust was created while Mr. Hartwell was still recovering from a stroke and under the influence of his granddaughter. Judge Mercer looked at her. Counselor, do you have evidence of undue influence? We are requesting an independent psychiatric evaluation. That is not what I asked. Do you have evidence currently? The attorney hesitated. Not at this time, Your Honor. Then I am granting the evaluation, but I am also granting the plaintiff's motion for a preliminary injunction. The sale is frozen pending medical testimony. She struck the gavel. Dr. Caroline Walsh will conduct the evaluation. She is a board-certified geriatric psychiatrist with no conflicts of interest. Report due within 5 days. Grandpa sat with Dr. Walsh for 3 hours. She was thorough. Cognitive assessments, memory evaluations, interviews about his daily life and his relationship with me. I was not permitted in the room. I waited in the lobby, reading the same magazine several times over without taking in a single word. When Grandpa came out, he looked tired. How did it go? I asked. She is thorough, he said, and fair. Dr. Walsh's report arrived 4 days later, 23 pages. Attorney Caldwell forwarded it to me that evening. I read it twice. Here is what mattered. Patient demonstrates full testamentary capacity. Cognitive assessment score 29 out of 30. Mini mental state exam 30 out of 30. Clock drawing test performed without error. Executive function intact. Memory age appropriate. Patient shows no signs of dementia, delirium, or cognitive impairment. Patient's account of creating the trust is detailed, consistent, and rational. No evidence of undue influence. In my professional opinion, Edmund Hartwell had full legal capacity in November 2023 and continues to have full capacity today. I called Grandpa immediately. She confirmed you are fully competent, I said. I could have told you that, he replied. I laughed for the first time in weeks. The second hearing was November 22nd. Same courtroom, same judge. Dr. Walsh testified and was unshakable. The opposing counsel tried. Dr. Walsh, is it not true that stroke patients sometimes experience delayed cognitive decline? In some cases, yes. Not in this case. How can you be certain? Because I have reviewed all of Mr. Hartwell's medical records since the stroke. His neurologist documented complete recovery by June of 2023. His cognitive scores have been stable or improving since that time. There is no evidence of decline. But his age? His age is not relevant. Capacity is determined by function, not by years, and Mr. Hartwell functions at an above-average level for his age group. The opposing counsel sat down. Judge Mercer looked at Attorney Caldwell. Anything further, Counselor? No, Your Honor. The evidence speaks for itself. The judge nodded. I have heard enough. The trust is valid. The power of attorney was expired and the renewal was forged. The sale is void. Ms. Holloway, your purchase price will be refunded in full. Mr. Calloway, you have 10 days to return those funds or face contempt of court. She struck the gavel. 11:23 in the morning. I watched Marcus's face drain of color. Diane was crying quietly. Grandpa squeezed my hand, his left hand, steady, no tremor at all. But Judge Mercer was not finished. One more matter, she said. I am referring this case to the district attorney's office. Mr. Calloway, you would be wise to retain criminal counsel. The opposing counsel stood. Your Honor, that is highly unusual. So is forging documents to defraud your elderly father-in-law. We are adjourned. 3 days later, Attorney Caldwell called. The district attorney is opening a case. The assistant DA wants Edmund to come in for an interview. When? Tomorrow. What charges are they pursuing? Forgery in the first degree, theft in the first degree, possibly criminal mistreatment. What are the potential penalties? 2 to 10 years. I did not feel triumphant. I felt exhausted. Will Grandpa have to testify? Likely, if it goes to trial, but I expect Marcus will accept a plea agreement. He does not have a strong position. But before Marcus could make any such agreement, something happened that I had not anticipated. On November 25th, 3 days after the second hearing, my doorbell rang. I was staying at a temporary apartment in the city, 2 bedrooms, one for Grandpa and one for me. It was 7:30 in the evening. I opened the door, and there stood a young woman I had not seen in 5 years, Serena Calloway, my half-sister. She was 25 now, tall and blonde, wearing a work badge from an architecture firm. "Maya," she said, "I did not know. I swear I did not know what Dad did. You knew he sold Grandpa's house. He told me Grandpa had agreed. He said it was for his own comfort and safety, that the stairs were too much for him. Her voice broke, he promised to pay off my student loans, nearly $100,000. I believed him." I looked at her. This was the young woman who had once called me an opportunist, who had sided with Marcus at every turn, who had stopped speaking to me after I moved in with Grandpa, and now she was standing on my doorstep in tears. "Why are you here, Serena?" "Because I'm sorry, and because I need you to know I did not want any of this." From behind me, Grandpa's voice, "Let her in, Maya." She stepped inside and sat on the sofa. She pulled out her phone and showed me her student loan account. Balance over $95,000. No payment had been made. "He lied," she whispered. Grandpa sat next to her. "Serena," he said gently, "come here." She looked at him and then she collapsed against him, her whole body shaking. "I'm so sorry, Grandpa. I'm so sorry." He held her. His left hand, steady, stroked her hair. "I know, sweetheart. I know." When she had stopped crying, Grandpa pulled out the trust document. "There is something I need to show you," he said. He turned to a page near the back. An amendment dated November 20th, 2023. Serena Catherine Calloway, granddaughter, 15% residual beneficiary. Serena stared at the page. "What?" "I added you to the trust 2 years ago," Grandpa said. 15% yours, with no conditions attached. "But I didn't do anything. I didn't help you the way Maya did. You were young and afraid of your father. I understood that, but I believed that one day you would see through him." He took her hand gently. "And here you are." Serena looked at me. "You knew?" "No," I said. "I just found out as well." 15% of what exactly? Attorney Caldwell's voice came from the hallway. He had let himself in with the key we had given him. 15% of just under $2.9 million, approximately $427,000. Serena's expression was of complete disbelief. "I cannot accept that." "You can," Grandpa said, "and you will. It's already done." The next day, Patricia Holloway acted swiftly. She filed a formal rescission of the purchase and sent a message to the title company that was forwarded to real estate professionals across the city. The escrow officer was suspended pending investigation. The title insurance company opened a claim file. Attorney Caldwell filed a motion for asset seizure to secure the judgment against Marcus. The court granted it. The sheriff executed the writ of attachment. Marcus and Diane's home, purchased with money taken from Grandpa, their vehicles, their bank accounts. The total recovered came to approximately $550,000, still short by a significant amount. Marcus reached out to Diane's parents, who had considerable wealth. They had helped him before. This time, they said no. December 3rd, 2025. I was at work, back to full-time nursing, when Attorney Caldwell called. "Turn on the news," he said. I pulled out my phone. The headline read, "Seattle man arrested in Portland elder fraud case." There was video footage. Marcus being escorted from his office building. 2 in the afternoon, his colleagues watching. The charges: forgery in the first degree, theft in the first degree, criminal mistreatment in the first degree. Bail was set at $100,000. It was posted by Diane's father, who then called Diane and told her she was on her own. Marcus's arraignment was December 5th. He pleaded not guilty. Trial was set for March of 2026. He never made it to trial. The media picked up the story. A major newspaper ran it on the front page. The article included everything: the forged documents, the trust, the recordings. The story spread quickly online. Thousands of comments in the first 12 hours, the majority expressing outrage. It began trending on social media under the tag Justice for Edmund. Marcus's employer saw the story. On December 16th, he received a termination letter. His real estate license was revoked shortly after. Marcus's income became zero. Diane was earning a modest salary as an administrative assistant. Their mortgage and court-ordered restitution together exceeded what she brought home. The numbers simply did not work. On March 3, 2026, Marcus filed for bankruptcy. But before that, something else happened. Something that ended what was left of Marcus's life as he knew it. On March 5th, Diane filed for divorce. She took the children and moved to her parents' home. Her message to Marcus, which eventually reached Attorney Caldwell's knowledge and then mine, read simply, "I cannot continue like this. The children are asking why their father is in the news. My parents will not look at me. I am filing tomorrow. I am sorry, but you did this, not me." Marcus moved into a small studio apartment. He found work as a custodian at a local college, the only employment available to him with a felony record on his application. On March 20th, a handwritten letter arrived at our temporary apartment. 2 pages on lined notebook paper. Grandpa opened it, read it, then tore it in half twice and dropped it in the rubbish. "What did it say?" I asked. "He says he is sorry, that he was desperate, that he wants to talk." "What will you tell him?" "Nothing. Tell Attorney Caldwell to inform him the answer is no. He had 2 years to talk. He chose theft instead." In February, before the trial date, the assistant district attorney offered Marcus a deal. Plead guilty to all charges. In exchange, an 18-month sentence, suspended, 5 years of probation, full restitution, $50,000 in fines, 500 hours of community service at an elderly care facility, and mandatory counseling. His attorney advised him plainly, "If this goes to trial, you are looking at a minimum of 5 years. The forensic evidence is solid. The recordings are devastating. Take the deal." Marcus took the deal. The plea hearing was February 14th, 2026. When he entered his plea, his voice was barely a whisper. "Guilty, Your Honor." The media coverage was more intense the second time, because this time it was final. The newspaper ran an editorial on elder financial abuse, citing statistics. 1 in 10 adults over 60 experience some form of abuse. Financial exploitation is the most common. The vast majority of cases go unreported. The editorial concluded with a quote from Patricia Holloway: "If you have aging parents, protect them. Create trusts. Document everything. Do not wait until someone locks them out of their own home." We moved back into our home in May of 2026. The house had been held in trust during the legal proceedings. When the sale was voided, it reverted to the trust. We changed the locks, high security. No one was getting in without a key this time. Serena came over every Sunday at 10 in the morning. She would bring croissants from the French bakery on the corner, the same one Grandpa and I used to walk to together. She had been promoted at her architecture firm. She was paying down her student loans herself. Grandpa had offered to clear the balance for her. She said no. "I need to do this on my own." But he had quietly set the money aside in the trust, waiting for when she was ready. Life found a new rhythm. I returned to work part-time, 3 shifts a week. I also joined the hospital's elder abuse response team as a volunteer. In April of 2027, I was invited to speak at a legal conference on elder law. The topic was identifying red flags in power of attorney abuse. I told our story to a room of 200 attorneys. When I finished, they gave me a standing ovation. On March 20th, 2027, exactly 1 year after Marcus sent his first letter of apology, the doorbell rang. It was a Sunday. Serena was in the kitchen making coffee. Grandpa was in the living room reading the paper. I opened the door. Marcus stood there. He looked different, thinner, much thinner. Old jeans frayed at the hem, a worn jacket, shoes scuffed at the toes, no watch. He had sold it to pay toward the restitution. His hands were trembling, not from anger, but from nerves. Maya, is Dad home? I nearly closed the door, but Grandpa's voice came from behind me. Let him in. Marcus sat on the same sofa that Serena had wept a year and a half ago. He did not look at me or Serena, only at Grandpa. Dad, I do not expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I have been sober for a year. I have completed 350 hours of community service at a care home for the elderly. I am paying you back $5,000 a month as the court ordered. Why are you here, Marcus? Grandpa asked. Marcus's voice cracked.
Because I want to try to become someone other than the man who betrayed you. The room was still. Serena set down her mug. I held my breath. Grandpa looked at Marcus for a long moment. Then he spoke. You will never inherit from me, Marcus. That is settled. The trust passes to Maya and Serena. But if you do the genuine work, not just the required work, for 5 years, then perhaps we can try to be some version of a family again. Not what we were, something new. Marcus's expression crumpled. I understand. Do you? Grandpa leaned slightly forward. Because if you relapse, miss a single payment, or lie to me once, we are finished permanently. I understand, Dad. Thank you. Grandpa pulled out a handwritten piece of paper. He had written out the terms himself, in his own handwriting, with the fountain pen my mother had given him 30 years earlier. 5 years of clean probation, full restitution paid, family therapy with Maya and Serena, no inheritance, ever. Marcus read it and signed. No notary required, just symbolic. The first therapy session was April 3rd, a family systems specialist. Grandpa paid for it. I did not want to go, but Grandpa asked me. Not for himself, he said. For us, so we could close this chapter properly. So I went. Serena and I spoke after Marcus left that first day. Do you think he will follow through? She asked. 5 years is a very long time. I do not know, I said, but Grandpa is giving him the chance. That is more than I would have offered. Serena nodded. I am sorry I was not there for you, she said quietly. When Dad sold the house, I should have questioned it. You were young and scared. I understand that now. I paused. But we are here now. That is what matters. We hugged. A real hug. The first one in 3 years. Grandpa is 78 now. His health is good. His blood pressure is healthy. No new strokes. His mind is as sharp as ever. We are planning a trip to Bordeaux this summer. Just the two of us, and perhaps Serena if she can arrange the time off. The trust is secure. Maya Hartwell, 85%. Serena Catherine Calloway, 15%. Marcus Thomas Calloway, 0. Attorney Caldwell remains as trustee. When Grandpa eventually passes, and I hope that is many years from now, I will become primary trustee. Serena will be the backup. Grandpa updated his personal will in March of 2027. There is a new provision. $500,000 to the hospital's Elder Abuse Prevention Fund, established in my mother's name. The fund provides legal aid and medical advocacy for elderly patients at risk of financial exploitation. Sometimes late at night, Grandpa and I sit on the porch steps, the same steps where he sat that October afternoon, locked out of his own home. The third plank still has the worn spot from 40 years of him sitting there. He looks at the photograph of my mother every single day. Silver frame on the mantle. She is 48 in the picture, Thanksgiving 2016. Laughing. Your mother would be proud of you, he told me last week.
Not because you won, because you did the right thing even when it was hard. I learned from you, Grandpa. No, he said. You learned from Eleanor. She always had a spine of steel wrapped in kindness, just like you. Looking back, I understand now that Grandpa was not only protecting himself when he created that trust, he was protecting me. He was protecting the belief that family should mean safety, not exploitation. And he was teaching me that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is plan ahead for the possibility of betrayal. Not because you're cynical, because you are wise. 1 in 10 older adults will face financial abuse. Most never report it. If you have aging parents or grandparents, please help them create trusts. Update powers of attorney with clear expiration dates. Get cognitive capacity assessments documented by a qualified professional. Do not wait until someone locks them out of their own home. Edmund Hartwell is 78 years old. He does not know how much time he has left, but he knows this. The trust he created was never simply about money. It was about making sure the people he loves are protected, and the people who do not truly love him cannot harm them. That's legacy, not wealth. Protection. If this story moved you, if you have ever worried about a parent or grandparent being taken advantage of, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. And leave a comment telling me, have you ever had to stand up to family in order to protect someone you love? This is Maya Hartwell, reminding you that justice is not always loud. Sometimes it is simply a quiet, wise man sitting on his porch steps, making one phone call that changes everything.